Halito everybody, this is CT over at the NYC Indian, and today we're going to be reviewing Married at First Sight. This is going to be coming to you from an urban Native American Indian perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. So let's dive right on in. Now, there's Alyssa and Chris, okay? So she obviously spent the night separate from him, and then they start talking, on camera, but on camera they're saying that actually last night they were actually talking together off camera, and she's still sticking to her guns. There's some things, that bothered her and blah, blah, blah. She just making excuses, and then she starts going in saying, we just don't vibe, and saying how she got gypped and stuff like that. Like, this girl is so freaking rude. Okay, I have to stop myself from swearing. She is so freaking rude. Why would you come into this? Oh my God, she's just so nasty. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? And you could say, hey, I don't know, I kind of thought this was going to be something different, and I'm really afraid, and I don't know how to go forward, even though I know I signed up for a process where I'm supposed to go forward no matter what, or not no matter what, but even in spite of having a lack of attraction. But she just can't even bring herself to say that, because she thinks she's the hot little snack on the corner. I don't understand who this girl thinks she is talking to him like that. It's so, the guy's just sitting there listen, I don't know anything about his background. I don't know anything. I'm just going based off of these couple of episodes in this particular situation, the way that she treated him. It just wasn't right. It's just, he's crying, he doesn't understand what he did wrong. And, that was really... when they zoomed in on his teeth and her little snaggletooth comment, now that was dirty. They should not have done that to him like that. They make him look like he's just from that angle and stuff, the way his nose looked and his teeth, it was like a Lord of the Rings kind of, Frodo look or something like that. It was so unflattering. Oh my God, those people are evil in production. But yeah, she just, because apparently she's a supermodel or something like that herself. I just thought, man, just not being attracted to someone is a very huge risk in this process. But you don't have to just demean someone to get your point across. I understand that she feels frustrated that he's not getting it, but she came out guns blazing from the beginning. I don't like this, I heard this, and each moment I'm da-da-da-da. Come on. You just, like I said, you just say, hey, I don't know what I did. I'm not sure if I really was into, I should have done this. Something, just soften it. My God, you can still tell the truth, but soften it. You don't have to be so nasty about it. Oh my God. So yeah, we definitely know who our villain is this season. That's for sure. Because he was like, I just, I don't know if I should keep trying to go forward, or, should I even try, because at least I can deal with being on the scale anywhere from 1 to 10, but if she just at a 0, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you cut your losses, because even if this could, miraculously turn around, and so, would you want someone that was that turned off from you? I know Doug and Jamie, they had something similar, but I don't remember her being just nasty to him. That was a long time, as many seasons ago. I don't remember all the scenes, but she didn't seem nasty. She seemed frustrated and she's crying and stuff. But this Alyssa, boy, she is taking the cake this season, okay? So Jasmina is now sitting down with her new sisters at the table at the restaurant, and they're talking, and her sisters reveal that Mike has a thing about basically making the worst out of a situation or just assuming the worst, you know, just kind of negative streak. And we do remember that that's what he said about himself as his downfall during like the first episode or the pre-show episode, something like that. And I was afraid that this particular trait was going to be the thing that has possibly hindered him from having success in his relationships previously, as well as with Jasmina, you know, because I look at her and she looks, you know, so gorgeous, flawless, amazing, but yeah, she's still a human being, and all human beings have flaws. Is he going to try to find one of those and just like narrow in on it, or is he going to really put in the work? But we still have to see exactly where she is with him though too. So then Jasmina lets us know that, which is really interesting, this is her first in-person relationship. Not her first in-person marriage, but her first in-person relationship. So her previous relationships were only online. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, that's interesting. Maybe she was a late bloomer. She probably just started dating later in life. You know, not in life, but she's not an old woman. But, you know, maybe she just started dating a little bit later. Maybe she waited till she got her degree and something like that. Who knows? But I don't know if this is gonna really work, because number one, I'm not 100% sure on her chemistry with him, even though they did seem like they really kind of looked really nice together, like in terms of like they had good body language, and they really just seemed to really be so naturally together in that setting in the morning when they woke up. I still feel as though a little bit down the road, and not very far down the road, that because you know, she's such a, you know, a woman who really knows what she wants and things like that, that when you're in a living situation and you've never known what it's like to live with a significant other before, and you've never had to make all the compromises that you have to make, that can be a little bit worrying. And, you know, it's very easy for someone to pick apart things from a person, especially when you live together. So he might be trying to pick her apart to death, and she might just not be able to come to like a common ground or something with him in many ways. So I don't know, but again, and I still want to know more about his career, because I'm thinking that's going to cause some trouble down the line too, if he's not bringing in that much money. I'm not going to assume, because it is a personal trainer job, but you know, I can't, I mean, how much can you, I don't know. So we'll see about that. So now Lindsay sits down with Mark's family, and oh my God, they like her, right? And I feel as though, you know, Lindsay is not the acquired taste. Some people can be an acquired taste. I think she is the type of person that usually people will like or they won't like right away, right? Because her you know, personality is quite vivacious, and she can be very mouthy. So you know, I think because she's very outgoing and she jokes a lot and stuff, and Mark is like that too. They're also attracted to those sort of things in him. So they seem to really like her for him. And I think that's good that she is going to have that support of his friends, because she's probably going to need it later on. So now we pan over to Mark. And oh my God, like, I cannot believe this. He's sitting there with her family and friends. And, I mean, they literally pulled out like a Lindsay survival kit. Oh my God, with a no button and like, you know, some candy to calm her down. Like, it was crazy. Like, is this woman a toddler? Like, what's going on? And then her father was like, yeah, like I told you before, you're gonna have to be a real lion tamer with that one. I mean, these families be cracking up. Like, how do you say that about your daughter? But I think she gets a lot of that personality from her dad. Her dad is so funny. He's definitely my favorite maths parent so far. Oh, he's hysterical. I want to see more, I want more show time or more screen time with the father. Hysterical. So, yeah, Can you imagine? A Lindsay survival kit. Oh. So now it's time for Steve to have lunch with Noy's family, and he has no idea that Miss Sriracha is about to make her appearance, honey, and she wanted to know all about this and that and the job situation. He was not ready for that spice. I was like, I knew I loved the brother. I told you guys, I was like, oh my goodness. So, you know, the mom is like, no babies without no job. I mean, even like as he's answering them, he doesn't even sound like, you know, there's no conviction in his voice. Like, you know what? Oh yeah, I got laid off, but you know, I got stuff lined up and there was nothing. There was none of that. And you could see the worry on her parents' face. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what they had to do to get their family safe and living in a refugee camp and having to work their butts off? And can you imagine what these people have gone through? And to see that their daughter winds up with a guy with no job? Oh no, get him, Sriracha. So Alyssa and Chris meet up with one another's families. Basically, he tells her family that she only wants to be friends. And then when she meets up with his family, she doesn't get into it. She basically doesn't give any detail about what happened and how she's feeling. So two very different accounts. So his mom, you know, poor thing, unless she's just very intuitive and picked up on something, she seemed to be like still kind of hopeful that maybe those two are gonna, you know, have hit it off and, you know, will be able to start a new relationship. But oh yeah, that was a mess, those little interactions, especially Alyssa. Oh my God, if she could have blinked more uncomfortably into that water, she was like, it was terrible. Oh my God, Alyssa, girl. So now we have Olajuwon and Katina. Oh my God, Olajuwon has to sit down with Katina's people, and you know anybody can see like he's full of it, right? So this is not going to be a very difficult dissection here. So Jelani just like is smelling through the BS right away, and basically is, you know, calling him out about his intentions, and you know, look. I told you Olajuwon was going to be a problem, all right? Nobody wants to listen to me, but I'm telling you, enough years on this earth, I can tell. And the way that he was like, you know, even like maybe 2 sentences into the exchange, you know, Olajuwon's kind of, you know, he's kind of getting a little, you know, like kind of puffing his chest out, you know? And I'm like, when you're full of it and people call you out, you can't get upset about that, right? But he reminds me of like, oh God, he just reminds me of kids in elementary school. Like there was always those 1 or 2 boys in class that could never keep their butts in their seats, always running around, always, you know, extra loud and, you know, getting into fights in the school ground. I mean, he just reminds me of that. And I think also that in addition, well, I don't know that he did those things in school, but that's what he reminds me of because he's so hyper. And then coupled with the fact of the poverty that he grew up with, he said he grew up, you know, his mom, they didn't have much money growing up. His dad wasn't around. So I think all of these things together, he hasn't, you know, really led a life so far that, you know, most women would want from a guy that they're going to be married and settling down with, right? Let's be honest. So he feels judged all the time. And this is very, very crucial, you know, and also he's a man of color too, right? So he feels like he has this extra thing he has to prove and he has to show. And yeah, he's got, this is like, I'm just waiting to see when he kicks it up to the next notch, because if he's on 10 at level 1, then imagine when he gets upset, you know, when he's drinking. Now that's what I'm really afraid to see once he starts drinking, if he's going to be yelling. And as we've already seen, because you are a wife, like just something about, you know, how he's so emphatic and stuff like that. And he strikes me as someone who does not take criticism very well, because he is always living in this place in his head of, they're judging me, you know, I've come from this kind of family, or, you know, my dad wasn't around, or blah, blah, blah. And that's why I feel like he mentions every 5 minutes about, you know, how he was always out there in them streets running around and stuff like that constantly. I think that has to do with him feeling like he's got to keep letting you know, keep letting you know, keep letting you know, because hey, you know, I'm always judged, but I'm not that person, you know, just like always trying to prove. And what he doesn't understand is that, you know, actions speak louder than words. Sometimes you have to zip it and show, you demonstrate that you are not that person anymore. You know, you demonstrate that you at least want to make an effort to not be that person anymore. But he's not gonna listen. Leopards don't change their stripes, not to that extent, okay? Those stripes are deep and I don't see it happening. They are dyed in the wool. So I mean, do we think I can be wrong and he can do some miraculous, you know, 180 during, you know, at the last episode of the season? I think not. My common sense, my judgment tells me not. And, you know, I think Jelani may not know all the background on Olajuwon, but, you know, Olajuwon's, I mean, they're a dime a dozen, right? So why wouldn't he be able to, like, suss that out like that? So when Steve and Noy are together, I noticed that like when they were trying to talk about the future, that he was kind of like, well, let's just talk about it later. And I was like, later? Excuse me, what exactly are you waiting for? But see, those are traits of a person that's not ready to settle down. Those are traits of someone who's just kind of still bouncing around. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone is even made to be married. Not everyone is made to have kids, okay? Listen, it's population control as far as I'm concerned. You know, certain people should and certain people should not. But I'm not saying that he shouldn't have kids, but he just might not be there. Look, he's what, 38 years old, and you know, now some people do want to settle down, some guys want to settle down at that age, but he doesn't really strike me as somebody that's still ready to settle down. I think this is another adventure for him. And, you know, and he also tells her that, you know, they'll talk about it later about if and when he will take on a full-time contract. If and when. Excuse you? How dare you sign? Listen, let me tell you something, Steve. I'm about to go off on you. When you said that, I was like, you know, I was still trying to give you a little bit of a benefit of a doubt, because I said you had 2 weeks between the time you told your family that you're going to be getting married and actually going up to the altar to see this girl. You had 2 weeks to do something. And I didn't, because I didn't know it, you know, don't know his personality well enough to know if he was going to look for something at that time or not. He did not. He didn't look for anything. He's just kind of happy floating, and he just wants somebody that's just going to float along with him as well. Do you think that this is going to be someone that's going to be good for a long-term committed thing? I mean, it's still, yeah, it doesn't mean he's a cheater or anything like that, but is he just going to get sick of her one day because, you know, she wants to live, you know, downtown, and to him that's just too boring? And, you know, is he going to maybe leave her one day because, you know, she doesn't want to go on all these, like, you know, jet skiing and stuff like that, and maybe she's more of a homebody, and is he gonna get that wanderlust again? I mean, Steve, okay, and the only other thing that I'll give you is they have not yet mentioned, I will give you this benefit of the doubt, Steve, okay? I will give you the benefit that you have found a buried treasure ship somewhere, okay? Or I will give you the benefit that there's a trust fund with several zeros in it under your name that we are unaware of. But until I get that kind of information, I'm going to assume that you are middle class and you got to work just like the rest of us. And if you continue with this, I don't know if it, hell no. Noy, you better get your running shoes on, girl. What's your little alter ego's name? I forget, Noisy or something like that. Noisy better get her sneakers ready to go, girl, because I don't know about this one. He might be the silent one that we didn't see coming, that might be one of the worst heartbreakers. Who knows? Because she seems to really, really be into him. And imagine what a shame it would be for her to put all her heart into this situation. Noy is just so sweet. She's just such a sweet girl. Like, why again, Married at First Sight production and experts, why would you have why did you do this? Why did you set him up with her? He's so obviously not ready. If and when, come on, if and when. Oh. So everyone gets their gift baskets, and inside is revealed that they'll be spending their honeymoon vacation on the island of Puerto Rico, and everybody's so excited, except for Alyssa and Chris. But she decided she'll go ahead and bite the bullet, because hey, if nothing else, free tan, a view, and there's other couples for her to socialize with, like hello. And Chris is just sitting there like, what am I freaking chopped liver over here? So sad, oh my God. So everybody goes to the airport and they fly over, and now it is time for the honeymoons to begin. So now the couples are on their flight, and it is revealed once they get to the island on the bus that Olajuwon and Lindsay got into it, and honey, oh my God, it really must have went down, because next thing you know, Lindsay and Mark are on a different shuttle van. I said, what in the hell happened here? So apparently, okay, Lindsay tells Olajuwon that he should be speaking the language of the country, of the people that he's visiting. I mean, don't really see anything wrong with that, but it's not what you say, is how you say it, right? And I don't know how she said it, and maybe, you know, I'm just thinking, if it were me and I'm in a situation with someone like an Olajuwon and just the constant talking and energy and stuff like that, he would just annoy the hell out of me. Now I know Lindsay's energy can annoy other people too, but I still think maybe his is just a little, I think I could handle a Lindsay. I don't think I could handle an Olajuwon. So I could imagine being in that situation and, you know, maybe just, you know, him feeling like, you know, insecure about his lack of maybe travel, his lack of perhaps experience and exposure. I mean, I'm sure he grew up pretty, you know, diverse. I mean, Boston area is pretty diverse, right? But it's still different than actually going to a different country and experiencing a culture for yourself. And it can be quite humbling. And Olajuwon, humble is not in his vocabulary, right? So he felt offended. So now we have the residual effect of Olajuwon's behavior. Isn't that wonderful? Jasmine and Mike have their very first disagreement. So they are discussing what happened, and Mike made the point that we as people don't know one another and are still learning each other's communication styles, and you have to have some room for negativity. I took it more like a healthy skepticism. I'm a very skeptical person. I don't go into anything thinking, you know, complete sunshine and roses, but I still know how to be glass half full. You can still be a positive person, but you know, you have to be realistic. And Jasmina felt that he was basically trying to say, like, when you go into a situation, a social situation with new people, that, you know, you have to expect for them to be not be getting along and stuff like that. And I really felt if they had this sort of conversation under a different set of circumstances, this would have went completely differently. So what they did is they took that situation and kind of like loosely applied it to not necessarily themselves, but how they feel a situation like that should be handled. And they have very different styles of handling things. And I have to say, you know, usually I'm with the ladies. There's no lie about that over here in NYC Indian. We are about the women over here, okay? Empowerment. But I have to admit, I was with Mike on this one, because Mike said a certain amount of negativity is normal and it's realistic. And because he said that, it took her back to what his sister said about him being negative and having a negative outlook on things. And I do not believe that those two were the same thing. I understand he has a thing about negativity, and I'm definitely nervous about how that's going to impact their relationship. But I think when we're basically talking about the fight between Olajuwon and Lindsay, Mike's tendency to be negative towards things, to me, had no connection to that situation. But I think that the only reason that Jasmina picked up on that is because it's fresh off the heels of having that meeting with his sisters. And, you know, and still, you know, like I said, I'm not sure where the attraction exactly is at this point too. And because she's very like this, it seemed like there was her opinion, and I understand where she was coming from. Like when you go into a new setting, you want to be positive, and I don't think that Mike is going into a room thinking he's going to be negative with people. I think he's just being realistic that when you get different personalities together, there's always going to be one person that's going to be more negative than the rest of the people. That is just, it's like the just odds. It's just numbers. That's just how it is. He's actually correct about that. And she was a little bit rigid. And I think what I sensed was a rigidity was because, again, she's thinking that she's kind of connecting that with her. Like, you know, oh, he's going to be negative. He's going to be finding things wrong and things like that. And I don't think that's where he was going whatsoever. And I thought, man, look at this. Look at this fight. This fight that does not need to have, that does not need to be had right now about this. Now, it is good to understand how people deal with conflict and things like that, but they shouldn't be getting into a fight because of a fight that Olajuwon and Lindsay had. It just doesn't make any sense. So, but you know, hey, I guess it's all part of the getting to know each other process. And her red flag officially went up. And Jasmina, she definitely strikes me as somebody who doesn't look at red flags and just, you know, a lot of people just, you know, when I say ignore, I mean, they go past and collect $200 with red flags. With her, I think the red flags are going to add up. I really do. She just seems to no nonsense for me about that. So if it feels to her, you know, so I just, hopefully they can continue to communicate. They definitely agreed to disagree at the end of that conversation, but you notice their communication style was very respectful to one another. And I thought that was really good. I think the way that they, you know, that they argued, or if you want to call it that, or disagreed, was in a way that was definitely mindful to the other person, even though they didn't see it the other person's way, the other person's side. But yeah, that was just so unnecessary. They didn't even need to have had that fight like so early on. I mean, they haven't even dipped their toes in the pool yet. My God. See, Olajuwon, see what you call it? So we finish off with Chris and Alyssa. And basically, you know, it's a battle royale on the balcony, all right? So Alyssa's like, I'm going to my room. I'll see you later. And Chris is like not having it at this point. He decides to confront her. Oh, you were never into the process to begin with. You just wanted somebody perfect and you're not trying. And of course, she's like, you know, saying that's not true. And you know, she's like, you know, you calling me a liar? You calling me a liar? And she looks like she is like 2 seconds from hauling off and smacking the hell out of him. So we'll see. We got to keep this on ice. Okay, guys, let's meet up next week. Same time, same channel. You guys take care of yourselves and stay safe. Chipi Salacho.